my time as a guitar player, I have owned many different types of guitars with different pickup combinations, pickup types, but there's a few things that I've never been able to try. And one of those things is the Gretsch DynaSonic pickup. I've been curious about the DynaSonic for a while, and after spending a few weeks with this Gretsch, I think there's a case to be made for bringing this pickup back. I actually think this is a really great modern sounding pickup, even though it's one of the original electric guitar pickup designs. Before we jump in, I want to quickly thank the sponsor of today's video, which is Sweetwater. I reached out to them a few months ago and asked them to send me this beautiful Gretsch George Harrison signature Duo Jet so that I could spend some time with these DynaSonic pickups, and they very kindly did. In the description box, I will have some Sweetwater affiliate links to this guitar and some other DynaSonic options that I think are a cool thing to check out, both standalone pickups and guitars that are equipped with the DynaSonic pickups. As you know, Sweetwater is a great place to shop for your next guitar online. Their 55-point inspection process and quick shipping and quick turnaround makes it a really great place to get your next electric or acoustic guitar. So thank you to Sweetwater for sponsoring today's video. Links are in the description. With all that out of the way, let's hear these pickups. Now, the history of the DynaSonic pickup dates all the way back to the late 1940s. Gretsch was looking for a pickup design, so they reached out to inventor Harry DeArmond, who created what at the time was called the Gretsch DeArmond Fidelitone pickup. Now, if you ask me, the name Fidelitone is a better name for the DynaSonic pickup because it describes the sound of a DynaSonic better than DynaSonic does, but we'll get to that in a minute. Now, this is a single coil design, similar in some ways to the P90 that Gibson was making at the time, as well as the single coils that Leo Fender was experimenting with and building for his guitars at the time. However, the DynaSonic, or at the time, Fidelitone, was a bit different in a few ways. The first thing is the magnets themselves. They used big, chunky Alnico 5 magnets for the pole pieces, as well as making each pole piece individually adjustable. This was one of Gretsch's major selling points. The adjustable pole pieces meant that you could dial in the output of each individual string for each pickup essentially voicing the guitar to your own taste and your own playing style. And this is actually something that's still pretty useful today. Now, since then, lots of other guitar manufacturers and pickup designers have implemented the adjustable pole pieces, but Gretsch was one of the first to do it, or DynaSonic was one of the first to do it with the Fidelitone / DynaSonic. Again, I'm going to petition that we go back to calling these Fidelitone because I think that's an awesome name. Now, because this is a single coil pickup, it does suffer from the classic 60 cycle hum that all single coil pickups have. And so as a result, in the mid 1950s, Gretsch was looking to replace this with a hum canceling design. So they reached out to designer Ray Butts, who invented what would become the Filtertron pickup. Now, fun little piece of guitar history here. It's said that Gretsch and Ray Butts were actually first to the humbucker design, beating out Seth Lover at Gibson in 1956-57. But Gibson was the first to patent the PAF humbucker pickup. So according to the US Patent Office, Gibson was the first to do it. But by all accounts, at least what I could find in my research, it said that Ray Butts and Gretsch and the Filtertron were technically the first sort of mass-produced, commercially available humbucking pickup design. Now, in terms of sound, the DynaSonic is a hi-fi pickup. It's almost like you're playing in 4K. That's the best way I know how to describe it. So right now I've got the guitar going through my pedal board into the Quad Cortex, and I've just got a clean sort of Fender Deluxe sound pulled up here. Nothing too crazy, but a nice sort of glassy, clean sound. DynaSonic is glassy. It's hi-fi. It's shimmery. The low end is defined. It's there, but it's tight and punchy and clear. This pickup design is so hi-fi. And because of that, I think it's useful in a modern guitar context. This pickup does incredibly well when you're using things like time-based effects, reverbs, delays, choruses, things like that, because you're giving the effect, you're giving your amp, you're giving your signal a lot of information. So as a result, when you kick on something like a big, lush reverb, it sounds bigger. And in that, it's sort of like a Jazzmaster pickup in that way. That's the closest thing I can compare this to. A P90 is a little darker, a little more mid-range, a little more punchy. A humbucker is definitely heavier and darker and more chunky sounding. The DynaSonic and a Jazzmaster pickup, for example, are more glassy. They're more delicate. And with this guitar in particular, the George Harrison Duo Jet here, with it being a hollow design, the way you play this guitar is different than you would play like a Les Paul. At least that's how I'm experiencing it. It's more delicate. You want to hit it softer. You don't want to dig into it as hard. Part of that is because it does have a floating bridge here, and if you hit it too hard, you'll actually move the bridge around the top, which is, you know, true to the classic nature of this guitar, but it is a little annoying. So that's with some reverb. I'm going to turn it on the Chroma console now. And on the Chroma console, I've got a little bit of like preamp gain. I've got some modulation, some vibrato, some pitch modulation, and a little bit of tape echo. This is one of my like go-to sounds that I use all the time. And even on the neck pickup, which traditionally neck pickups, especially humbuckers, tend to be a little darker, this is still clear. And then same thing with the bridge. It's just so high def. Like, listen to this. Like, it almost sounds like I'm playing DI. You know that sound when you just plug your guitar straight into an interface or into a DI and you just get that like really sort of hi-fi kind of sound? It's like that, but I'm playing through an amp or an amp model right now. And with picking, it's almost like you can tell what pick you're using, if that makes sense. I doubt I could actually guess, but that's the sense that I'm getting, is like you can hear the differences in the pick material and pick thickness and shape with these pickups. But let's try it with some gain. I've switched to an SLO 100 profile here. It handles amp overdrive or overdrive from a pedal quite well. Again, because it has that hi-fi kind of sound, we're getting a lot of that definition coming through the amp, even with all the distortion and compression that we're getting. Now, I think the reason that we don't see a lot of the DynaSonics being used nowadays in sort of the modern guitar context is because the guitars that we see them equipped in, Gretsch's mostly, or Gretsch style guitars, the guitar's design does not lend itself to more of a modern style of playing. This Duo Jet, for example, it's beautiful. I've enjoyed playing it over the last couple weeks, but it has some drawbacks that kind of keep me from reaching for it most often, at least for my playing style. First and foremost is the classic sort of Gretsch floating bridge. Now, on my Black Falcon, years ago when I bought it, I had the bridge pinned in position so that it wouldn't move. And I haven't done that on this Duo Jet, and I don't know that I will. If you've never owned a Gretsch or a style of electric guitar that has the floating bridge like this, you can actually move the bridge just with your hand when the strings are under tension. If you're, resting and doing some palm muting, or you are playing hard and you hit it, and that messes with the intonation. Now, the trade-off is that it's easy to re-intonate. You just turn your tuner on and kind of move the bridge around, but it's just not a great design for the modern electric guitar player. And also with this particular bridge here, it's true to the original design, and I appreciate that they did that, but there's a reason that we don't see this style of bridge in modern guitars. It's not compensated for string intonation. And my biggest complaint with this guitar, spending time with it, is the intonation. It's just been so hard to keep it intonated properly. I'm constantly having to fiddle with the bridge itself. And again, that's just the nature of this guitar design. It dates back to the 1950s when electric guitar was a very, very different thing. And that's what's interesting about this. The pickups themselves sound very modern. When you look at the players who are sort of pushing the envelope forward, the sounds that they're getting are, again, this very hi-fi, this very glassy, almost DI guitar sound. In some cases, it is very DI sounding. And the DynaSonics do that incredibly well. They do it better than a P90, better than a humbucker, better than a Fender single coil. Closest thing I can compare them to is like a Jazzmaster single coil, but even that, this is a little bit more delicate. It's more detailed, it's more refined. But in a guitar like this, it doesn't make sense for that modern style of playing because it's just from a different era. It's a beautiful guitar, don't get me wrong. And if you're looking for this kind of thing, the Gretsch Duo Jet is in a class of its own. It's really cool, but I think it's because of the classic Gretsch design that we don't see more modern players gravitating towards these pickups. It's easy to see this as like kind of a holistic, old school, old timey kind of package, and to sort of dismiss the DynaSonic as being part of this thing. Like, oh yeah, if I want to play rockabilly or if I want to play, Chet Atkins kind of stuff, then sure, I'll reach for a Duo Jet, but that's not really what I'm into. But actually, these pickups, I think more players should be looking into. And there are manufacturers making DynaSonic style pickups today, like Seymour Duncan, who makes them in a few different form factors to fit them in different guitars. Yeah, I think a lot of people are sleeping on the DynaSonic pickup design. I know I have been for a long time. I think I was one of those players who just looked at this as being a Duo Jet or an old school Gretsch. And it's cool for a couple of things. I use my Black Falcon for certain styles of music, certain sounds, because the construction and the style of that guitar lends itself to that. But I think when you take those pickups out, when you take these DynaSonics out of the context of the rest of this guitar, you have something that would fit very, very well in the type of guitar playing and the sounds that guitar players are getting today. That's super modern, hi-fi, polished, progressive guitar sound, whether it's clean DI compressed with chorus and reverb, sort of the Mk.Gee thing, or it's more of the aggressive, high gain, progressive kind of rock thing. I think the DynaSonics are something that players should consider throwing in their guitar. It is a single coil. You're going to have hum, you're going to have buzz. There's ways around that. But yeah, this is a really, really cool classic pickup design that I think is completely slept on today. So that is the DynaSonic pickup. What do you think? Am I onto something here with this like modern guitar sound? I mean, it makes sense in my head, but I don't know. I'm not really that modern of a guitar player, so maybe I'm completely off base here. Let me know in the comments section down below. While you're down there, check out my guitar courses, particularly Fretboard Fundamentals. We're running a sale on that right now, so if you want more information on that course or any of the other courses that I've made, links are in the description. Once again, huge thank you to Sweetwater for sponsoring today's video. Links to this guitar and other stuff that I use to make the video are in the description box down below. Again, those are affiliate links, which means if you purchase anything through that link, I earn a small commission, which really helps me out making these videos. Doesn't cost you any extra, and I greatly appreciate it. Thank you so much for watching. My name is Gretsch Duo, and I will catch you on the next one.